Well, guys, we are back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, episode 62, as unfortunately we were very late for this one. So, what are today's topics?
US midterms, Brazil's presidential election, Russia partial withdrawal of Kherson, Tennessee mother shreds homophobic county commissioner, COVID is killing Republicans, Nick Fuentes wants dictatorships, and Elon Musk is a fetus.
Oh boy, all the salt we're going to be laughing at in this one. So, of course, let's get started with the US midterms that happened this week. As of course, every 4 years, just like with presidential elections, in between, there's midterm elections for most states' governorship, half of senators, and all of congressmen, so they don't have 2 years. Now, leading up throughout the year, and of course, historically since 2006, it looked like the Republicans were going to win in a landslide. But of course, remember back in June, when the Republican Supreme Court overruled Roe v. Wade, that pretty much tanked their massive red wave chances, and the Democrats had the momentum and all that. Now, of course, the polls a few weeks in showed that the Republicans actually regained that momentum and like it was going to be a red wave again, which I honestly didn't even really believe. And looks like I was right to feel that way, because it turns out there was no red wave. It was a red drip. So anyways, first off, Democrats right now actually gained a seat in the Senate because Fetterman won. So W in that regard.
Yay!
So right now, we actually have 51-49. No more having to rely on Kamala being a tiebreaker. And I'm pretty sure I think Sinema retired, so she's gone. So only Manchin would be in the way, and if that's the case, back to 50-50.
Yeah, and with Manchin gone, and with Manchin thing, that means that, we could probably be a bit more reliant on, we may still have to be reliant on Kamala Harris, though, because you know that Joe Manchin's a Republican with a D next to his name.
Yep, but it's also possible because there's still 2 seats up. They're very close. If it was in Nevada, which it's tied up right now, and Georgia, where it's going to have to go to a runoff because no one got 50%. So for Republicans to gain the Senate, they have to win both of them. But Democrats, all they have to do is just win one, and we have the clear majority. Not have to worry about Manchin anymore either. So much for that red wave in that regard. Am I right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then of course the House, which unfortunately is still undecided because it takes days to round up, and all the links I looked up beforehand that showed the results are not loaded up anymore. But the Republicans still have not gotten the majority yet. Unfortunately, they're leading by like 20 seats. It was like 211 to 192, but 218 is needed for the majority. So who knows? It can go up in the air still. Democrats lost 9 seats so far, but Republicans only gained 7 seats, so that's a little weird. But yeah, so far still just a drip instead of this red wave, and conservatives have been mauled in like crazy, which has been absolutely hilarious. Oh, that reminds me too. Unfortunately, she's taking the lead now. Lauren Boebert almost lost too, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much for that red wave, Lauren. Am I right? Fucking idiot. So of course, and of course, in my state, Westmore won by like 30 points to no one's surprise, because Cox is fittingly what his name is, an absolute clown. Got obliterated, and I'm surprised he didn't rage like Trump that he lost and denied it so far. And also based, not just everywhere else, social issues and economic issues won in referendums. Like in my state, we finally legalized weed. Although, guess what? And guess what? It's not going to actually happen till like the first day of June or July. So, yeah, like half a year still to go. Absolutely stupid how they do it in our state. But hey, at least it was legalized. Abortion. There was like 5 referendums on abortion across the country, and the pro-choice side won overwhelmingly in every single one. Shows that pro-choice is a winning issue, much to conservatives' denial. And of course, there were raising the minimum wages across this country too. Pretty much every one of them passed, which makes it really weird why the hell are these people voting for Republicans yet vote for progressive issues? Vote for the progressive all the way, you idiots. But still, progressives won on all those issues. And I know right now, Democrats at least gained 2 governorships, with my state being one of them. So, Democrats win in that regard too.
Yay!
Thank God, I cannot wait for Hogan's ass to be gone in January. Thank God. So, yeah, we gotta see about these results so far.
Oh, that's some awesome results.
It was the first time. Well, I don't think I should say it's because it's still too early about the House, but right now, if it goes the way it is, it's possible Democrats could maybe maintain the House, and if they do, it'll be the first time the ruling party that's president keeps control of both the House and Senate since 1934. Unbelievable. So, yeah. So, what do you gotta say about this?
Oh, here's the funny thing. Guess what?
What?
There may still be a recount in for Lauren Boebert's district.
Oh yeah, because it was like less. My last check, it was like only like 100 votes or something like that. It was nailed close.
Yeah, 100. It's 120. It's 100. Oh, it's over 1,000 now, but it's only 0.4%. And with only 1% left to go, and the recount laws for an automatic recount when any election is less than equal to 0.5%, and it's only 0.4 apart at the moment.
So yeah, up in the air still. So we gotta see about this red wave that didn't happen.
I found it's funny to watch. I love the cope.
Yep,
I love
from
the
Crowder,
cope.
Charlie Kirk, Dim Fool, everyone. They were mauling like crazy.
And the one that was kind of the most
like they denied reality.
Weirdly reasonable for about 3 seconds, though I don't think they should do it, was Ben Shapiro. Had like one moment of clarity during his cope.
Yep. He didn't rage at all like the other idiots. But
yeah, it was more.
But now, of course, we got to talk about the results. So, of course, like we said, Republicans still could get the House. If everything goes their way in the Senate, they still could get control just barely. So, it's still not 100% like they lost, but they humiliated themselves in this one. Now, we got to explain why they lost. Because all the polls beforehand, like all the way up to like June, and then like a few weeks left, showed that it was going to be a red wave. Well, why didn't it happen? I'll tell you why. Because you guys are too radical. You're too insane.
Also, remember that the polls don't tend to poll younger people and women.
Yeah, and guess what?
It's a little disproportionate.
And guess what? Those people overwhelmingly came out for Democrats. Like Gen Z, Democrats won Gen Z by like 28 points. For crying out loud.
Oh, nice.
From what I've checked, I gotta look up the numbers again, but there were a lot of votes this time around. It isn't like a normal midterm where there's like very low turnout. Like people came out like crazy. And most of it also is, you're gonna not like to hear this, but it is because you guys overturned Roe v. Wade. Like, look at the polls.
That was a huge one. That's what pulled a lot of women
and Gen Z.
Instead.
So, yeah. Before you did that, the polls were overwhelmingly in your favor to win. But when that happened, you tanked. And that single-handedly, I think, is why you lost. Because you guys are just too far gone. It's too radical to overrule Roe v. Wade. The vast majority of Americans are pro-choice and support abortion access. When you hear that, you need to shut the fuck up and stop advocating your regressive policies and accept them for what they are. Stop advocating for your horrible policies. Stop advocating being against LGBT rights and stuff too. Stop being
and also stop advocating for against the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, and also
because we know that they're coming after that.
Yeah, stop.
That's the interesting thing. They've gone like, oh, we're not going to do much more for contraception. We're not really going to go after contraception or sodomy laws yet. We want to go for the Voting Rights Act now.
Yeah, and since you brought that up too, like remember back a few months ago, over 140 Republicans in Congress voted against gay marriage being legal, like certified and stuff like that.
I think you'll find that. I wonder seriously what percentage of them, if they were to do interracial, I wonder how many would vote against it.
And then when it comes to contraception, remember a few months ago too, Democrats tried making a law that contraception was legal across the country, like guaranteed, because states could technically try and prevent that from overruling the Supreme Court ruling about it a long time ago. Over 100 Republicans voted against it. So think about that, guys. Over 140 Republicans in the House are against gay marriage. Over 100 of them are against contraceptives being allowed and legal. Guys, that is just too radical. The overwhelming majority of Americans are against it. So you know what you do? You have to change your views and accept it. Stop. And basically,
remember,
you have to stop being conservative. You got to be liberal. That's the reality of it. The Americans are overwhelmingly liberal on all the issues. And poll after poll after poll after poll for 10 years proves us that. So stop denying it and change your views now.
I honestly, as I've said, I honestly do wonder. I actually do wonder how many Republicans would vote against codifying things like the interracial marriage and the Voting Rights Act. I reckon probably about 50 to 60 would probably vote against interracial marriage, and pretty much every single Republican would vote against attempts to codify the Voting Rights Act.
And here's another thing too. Speaking of the Voting Rights Act, another reason why you guys lost is because of Trump. Because take a look. The vast majority of the people that Trump backed, they lost. And the ones that repudiated him most, like Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, he won in a landslide, for God's sake. Because he repudiates him. Because Trump is a buffoon. He is an idiot. And he's anti-democratic. And Trump is so toxic that people go out to vote against him. Anyone he supports too. So if you want to win, not only do you need to stop being conservative, you also need to stop supporting Trump. And of course, and here's another thing too about the election too, since I wanted to bring this up too, but I didn't want to do a whole separate episode about it. It's pretty much official that Trump probably is not going to have any chance to win in 2024 so far. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ron DeSantis dominated his Florida one, so he's shooting up in recognizability.
Yeah. DeSantis, Trump's rival, won the governorship in Florida, unfortunately, in a landslide. And now there is starting to be a civil war between Trump and DeSantis. Possibly who could be the Republican nominee in 2024. And guess what? Hopefully Trump, because right now I don't think he's going to probably win the primary right now. If it was between him and DeSantis, what do you think?
Yeah, nah. DeSantis is right now. He's on a wave of highs.
Yeah,
there's no way that he wouldn't be absolutely dominant at the moment.
Yeah, because he is Trump. Because I've seen like a lot of people being like he's a modern. I'm like, no, DeSantis is just as bad as Trump. He's actually worse because unlike Trump, he's not viewed as toxic by a lot of people, and he's not an absolute idiot and a narcissist like Trump. Like Trump can't get the Democrats anymore. He can't get most independents anymore. He can't even get some Republicans to support him anymore. DeSantis can get the entire Republican base to support him. He can get a bunch of independents to support him. He just has more appeal. He doesn't terrify people and scare them away like Trump does. And here's the thing
that's what makes Adolf death sentence so much more dangerous. Also because he's competent.
Yeah, and this is the interesting thing about it. If Trump somehow did win the primary, I don't think he would win against Biden right now, so that's good. But on the other hand, this is also pretty interesting too. Imagine, which I'm sure you know this would be the case, imagine they run, DeSantis wins the primary, and Trump would be like so butthurt that not only does he refuse to support him, he would try and split the Republican vote and run like third party or something.
I could totally see him doing that, being that much of a fucking narcissistic POS.
So that's a concern. Trump probably is more... No, DeSantis is probably more dangerous. Trump's probably more dangerous like up front because he's so insane. But he has less likely chance to win. And then, if he loses the primary, that might be better for us because then he might fuck over DeSantis.
Yeah.
So, Trump, if you do lose, please do that. Please split the vote. Make it more likely us progressives can hopefully win. And hopefully... Although it's probably going to be less likely to happen now since the Democrats did not get destroyed. Biden, please just not run in 2024. Let a progressive take over.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, yeah. So, yeah. Guys, I mean, conservatives, if you're watching, this is your guys' fault that you did not win in the red wave that you were supposed to win. If you want to win next time, stop being radical. Start being liberal. And stop supporting Trump. Because both things hurt you. And you have to change. And if not, keep losing. Alright. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about another election that was overwhelmingly positive. Lula won in Brazil, based. So, of course, I think we talked about in the last episode, Brazil had their presidential election recently. Lula, Bolsonaro, and a whole bunch of others ran. Lula won plurality the first round. But, of course, like in Georgia, which we just mentioned, Brazil has elections where if a person does not get 50% of the votes in the first round, the top two people run in a second round a few weeks later. So Lula and Bolsonaro went up against each other, and it was unfortunately very much closer than it should have been, especially according to the polls. But in the end, Lula did win by 2 points, which, thank God. What do you guys see about that result? It was like 50, almost 52 to 48.
Yeah.
That was way too close. He only barely won like 2 points. Because remember all the polls beforehand, so he was going to win like over like 10 points and such. But yeah.
Well, apparently there was apparently people were getting some people were trying to block. There were like some groups that were blocking access to pro-Lula voting areas.
Yeah, cops aligned with Bolsonaro tried to stop people from that support Lula from running. Shows how dangerously corrupt Brazil is, which is why it's more concerned that Bolsonaro could try and overthrow it. So, anyways, Bolsonaro won. Not Bolsonaro, thank God. Lula won. He'll be president on January 1st. Now, the big concern was if Lula did win, what would Bolsonaro do? Would he try to do like some sort of January 6th thing? Because he would have a much better chance to do it since Brazil is a much worse place than America. But, to my absolute surprise so far, he is not trying anything.
I think he probably thinks that his supporters are crazy enough to do it without him.
Because I don't know how true this is, because I heard that it was kind of like 2020 for America. Lula won, but I think Bolsonaro's party actually gained more seats in their version of Congress, so they might be stronger enough. And I heard that online that Bolsonaro supporters are like, look, we won in this regard, just accept the results and we'll try again in the future. And he's not like trying to deny it. Basically, all he did was like pouted like the next few days that he lost, and that's it. And doing a peaceful transition, which something Trump should have done. But now, of course, like I'm sure you probably agree, I still don't trust him. Until Lula's president in 2 months, I don't trust him at all, and I would not be surprised if anything changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Until Lula's in power, we have to be worried immensely. But yeah, we got to see about this results.
Oh, it's good.
Yep. And then Brazil, remember the great times you had in the 2000s? Prepare to get them back very soon when Lula gets in power, and also get rid of Bolsonaro's party when you get your chance. So, and also we got to say about Bolsonaro's being surprisingly more restraint on losing than I thought.
Yeah, that's surprising.
But like we said, cannot trust him until he gets out of power. January 1st cannot come here quick enough. But hey, good on Brazil to finally elect an actual good president for once.
About time.
Alright, so now on to the next topic.
That would be Russia's partial withdrawal of Kherson.
Which actually happened, I think it was yesterday. Now, of course, we didn't really have any plans. I didn't have any plans to really talk about the Russo-Ukraine war this week because nothing really happened. But a massive change happened recently after like a few weeks of like evacuation. As I'm loading up the map right now, Russia partially withdrew from Kherson, the northern part of the Dnieper River, that area that Ukraine originally attacked back in like August before they did their Kharkiv offensive. And as you see right now, it's all yellow now. They took all that back over that they've been fighting for since August.
Yes.
Now, of course, the media's like, oh, they withdrew from Kherson. No. Kherson is also part of south of the Dnieper River, like that whole area north of Crimea. So that's why I say partial withdrawal. They didn't withdraw from everything. They just withdrew from the northern part of the Dnieper River. So that's awesome. Sucks it wasn't as quick as Kharkiv, which really helped Ukraine get all those supplies and made Russia look like fools. But hey, still a win regardless. Now, of course, since it was so orderly, I'm pretty sure it's going to be tough for Ukraine to advance forward. Plus, passing the Dnieper River with all the bridges they destroyed, because I'm sure Russia has all those defenses built up. And I think they might have gained, if we looked at the maps, like back and forth, slide to slide, maybe they gained a little bit of territory in other places. But yeah, this is huge. So we got to see about that.
Yes, that's awesome to see. And hopefully Ukraine will eventually drive Russia out of Mariupol and give a bit of justice to the Western trained Chechen Islamists and jihadists, and I'm gonna keep saying that because those fucking pro-Russian leftists, by the way, they are absolutely not on the left, or at least Jason Hickey definitely isn't anymore. Oh, you've seen that he's cozying up with Jordan Peterson now.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter as well. So
yeah, Jesus Christ, and yet he's like, "Yay, yay, Chechens! They liberated Mariupol." The Chechens are Western trained. You stupid fucker. And by the way, not just is the regular Nazis of the Kharkov battalion and the others, but you could argue that they're like Nazis with a Christian stripe. The Chechens are basically Nazis with an Islamic stripe instead of a Christian stripe.
And of course, you can't really trust Ukraine when it comes to the death tallies and all that, but if you go by their numbers, Russia's now have almost somewhere up to 100,000 casualties inflicted in terms of men alone. And in terms of death, over 8,000.
Apparently the numbers are similar on both sides.
Yeah. Of course, don't believe either one of them, but I think overall their actual damage is probably about the same. What do you think?
Yeah.
But of course, until the war ends, we're never going to know the true number. But yeah, awesome job that Ukraine took that back, and hopefully they can keep taking everything back pre-2014 as well, as it's not going to be easy though.
No, it won't. Especially once they go into Crimea.
All right, so now I think we're done with that. On to the next topic.
That would be Tennessee mother shreds homophobic county commissioner. I love this one. I saw this a few days ago.
I saw it as well, but I never got to post it until you did. So recently, a Tennessee mom went to a county commission meeting and absolutely destroyed some of these homophobic pieces of shit, and it was awesome. We covered something like this some time ago, if you remember, and this is not the first time we covered something like this, but this is absolutely awesome. The amount of vitriol she inflicted on him was well deserved.
I have not talked about this yet. So this is courtesy of Alex Bollinger from LGBTQ Nation. Angry mom goes viral after giving an anti-LGBTQ commissioner hell during a public meeting. I've never been sexually assaulted at a drag show, but I have been in church. Twice, she said, adding that the church told me it was my fault. So this is the opposite of what we usually see. We usually
victim blaming. They've been doing that for 2,000 years.
Parents show up to these board meetings or city council events, and they will berate city councilors because wokeism in schools, CRT, just bullshit that we've all seen. But we're going to see the opposite happen here, and this is very cathartic. So let's go ahead and watch. This was posted on TikTok.
And I voted for you, and you are friends with my family. Our town has never seen so much homophobic crap as we have since Miller came along. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. These people have been with us this entire time, and we have never had a problem with it. They have never done any of the vile and disgusting things that man and his weird cronies have leaked out of their mouth.
Period.
I've never been sexually assaulted at a drag show, but I have been in church twice.
Inconvenient facts that they're not gonna like.
The man in church told me it was my fault.
Yep, victim blame as always.
This whole scenario should have stopped at the United States of America, where we have free speech, but it didn't. We're here. And it's so ironic that he also served in our military that guarantees us these freedoms, and he is here, moved from another place to come here and tell us that a community that we love, we are related to, we are friends with, they babysit our kids, we work with them, that they're dangerous. That's bullshit. Mm-hmm. They haven't done anything to anyone. And I'm so sick of listening to this weird, fake, pious crap about Christianity being the reason behind we have to protect the kids. Jesus didn't go anywhere and condemn people. He did not ever walk into any place and spew hatred and lies and completely annihilate a group of human beings who just want to exist. Any of my 4 children.
I mean, you do know, hardcore Christian fundamentalists are always hypocrites, as we all know. No surprise.
Yeah. Always.
But I also grew inside my womb in case pious Pippi's here. If any of them are part of this community, they will be lucky, because there is not a whole lot of families that would love their child unconditionally and seek out knowledge for them to understand their minds and their bodies. And the fact that they want to take that away from children, that is disgusting. That is child abuse. It is child abuse to immediately tell your child that he is wrong for feeling like he doesn't belong. It is conversion therapy, child abuse. All of that is wrong.
Exactly.
And you don't need a moral compass to recognize that something is wrong when it immediately hurts other people. So why are we even here? Why are we even doing this? Why does hate even have a platform? I'm so sick of these straight white Christian males who are already at the top of the food chain acting like somebody is out to get them. Mm-hmm. They just want to exist, Aaron.
Period.
Peacefully. Leave them alone.
Without your 501c3 getting involved.
Love to you all. Mwah.
Absolutely.
That gave me chills.
Absolutely obliterate those fucking pieces of shit.
That was incredible.
Now you see why I love it.
Yep, same here.
Parents across the country show up to school board meetings, show up to city council events, and do that. I think that this country would be in a much better place. But oftentimes, people don't want to speak out because they're too afraid. And it's just easier to remain complacent and keep your mouths shut. But when you have somebody brave like this encourages other people to do the same thing. And what a precious person. What a wonderful human being. Let me read some of this article so we have a little bit more context here. So, a woman came to a Board of Trustees meeting and trounced conservative Christians after a county's library director was driven from his job for refusing to take down a pride display. I mean, think about how insane these people are, that they drove somebody out of their job as library director all because of a pride display. They drove them away for that.
Yep.
Incredible.
That was
Maury County,
wrong.
Tennessee Library Director Zachary Fox resigned last week after getting pressured by a group of residents
more than a few of them
who
are
said that the
homophobic
LGBTQ-themed books were inappropriate, according to WSNB4. Fox said that his last day working would be tomorrow, October 28th, but that he would stay until a replacement could be found. Coming to this decision has been incredibly difficult, but it is the best interest of my family and my own health and well-being, he wrote. So this is somebody who has been harassed to the point where he has to leave his job. I mean, his livelihood. He's leaving all that behind because the homophobic backlash is just too much. I mean, so that goes to show you these people were vicious. They were vicious. And so what they're trying to do is scare queer people back into the closet. Make it so that way coming out of the closet, once again, is taboo. But that's not going to happen. People aren't going to go back.
Exactly.
People aren't going to accept this.
The vast majority of Americans support gay rights. So guess what? All you homophobic piece of shit, how about you shut the fuck up and know your place now?
You know, queer people have made a lot of progress.
And shit like this is how you lost in the last election recently.
Yep. And we're not just going to sit idly by and watch these rights that we fought for, that our, previous generations fought for, be rolled back. And so I love that we have people showing up and just calling out this nonsense. Maury County Commissioner Aaron Miller, who runs the local organization Foundation for Library and Freedom, was at the center of the controversy, calling on Fox to resign. The library invested your tax dollars into a book display for LGBT History Month, Miller told the Epoch Times. This was surprising considering that June is already Pride Month, a period of celebration for the LGBT community. Miller said that the materials were child-targeted. As a father, my line in the sand was crossed when the library exhibited a bright, colorful display of no less than 28 books for this past Pride Month, all of which were written and marketed specifically for minors, especially young children, he told the Daily Herald. As if that's so bad. As if kids are going to...
Well, that's the thing. They don't want anyone to know about... They want to be raise the kids to be as homophobic as possible.
First, if they learn about the existence of trans people or gay people. Like, these
because
folks are sick.
That's
these
pedophilia, according to them, even though they're the ones being pedophiles.
And
because the kids that don't know as much as they can about their bodies are far more likely to be abused and not actually be able to report it.
Yeah, and that's why sex education is needed to help prevent
Yep.
abuse from happening. And also,
which is what they're also against as well.
And also, don't forget, these people think that gay is a choice because to them, they think it's a choice because they probably are secretly gay themselves and won't acknowledge it.
Who worry about what their children see, who will read their kids the Bible, which talks about all kinds of violent shit and rape and terrible things. But when it comes to LGBTQ books, that's where I draw the line. It's about bigotry. It's not about protecting children. It's about bigotry, full stop. Last night, the Maury County Board of Trustees held a meeting that got heated, and one woman identified as Jessie Graham is going viral for her righteously angry speech about the people who drove Fox from his job. So we saw that, and yeah, she is an absolute legend. So the board approved of Fox's resignation. Earlier this month, a woman who introduced herself as Stephanie went on a diatribe at a meeting discussing LGBTQ books in the library system in Maury County that was caught on video. I will not raise kids in a county that has sexual-oriented books on the counter, she asserted. She told the group they need to understand that God's judgment is for Christians and non-Christians and the fear of the Lord. It's not upon you. If it's not upon you, it will be upon you in hell. Well, I don't believe in hell. So listen, this is a dredged up political issue.
That doesn't work on us.
How many people are talking about it? It's not like all of a sudden gay people got more gay and trans people got more trans. This all of a sudden is an issue because Republicans have chosen to make this an issue. Politicians and propagandists in tandem work together to raise this issue, elevate the salience of this so that way they can use trans people and gay people as a political punching bag to win elections, because they can't talk about the economy. They can't talk about ways that they would improve the lives of working Americans. So what do? They try to get you to vote based on hate. And so to see the pushback come this fiercely, it actually does give me a little bit of hope, I've got to say. Because to see someone who presumably is not even part of this community but loves this community speak up in such a justifiably, righteous rant, I love to see it. So this woman is a queen, and we have to protect her at all costs. I absolutely love her, and she should probably run for Congress.
More closely follows the Bible than follows Jesus than the Republican Bible.
Yep. So yeah, you guys are like homophobic pieces of shit. You just make atheism look more positive in our regard. If you want if you want your religion to survive, you gotta adopt the liberal religious views for once.
For some elected position.
Jesus was a brown hippie socialist before socialism was a thing.
They don't like that fact, so they got a whitewash
her county because she hit every note. She said everything that needed to be said, and it was just so fantastic.
Yeah, that was an absolutely awesome video. I don't think there's really much to say about it. Homophobe zero, liberal, I don't know if I would say Karen, but that was some Karen level energy, and it was well deserved. Infinite.
Yep. Karen for goodness in that one.
Karen is for good for once. Awesome. All right. So now, what next?
COVID is killing Republicans.
Oh yeah. I don't know if this is the video I wanted to watch, but I spent like 10 minutes trying to find it on Kyle, Mike, Rational National. I could have swore I saw someone else do it, but this is the closest thing I could find. So, this is honestly maybe another reason why, honestly, Republicans might have lost this recently. Because they're overwhelmingly dying to COVID. Which, by the way, it's been a long time since we talked about COVID. Guess what, guys? It's still a thing. So if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, get it. And the boosters and whatever, if you need them, or able to get them. Get it, because it's still around, and there's still variations existed. And Mike read up a study that shows that the anti-vax movement and the people that refuse to get vaccinated and deny COVID at all costs, it's literally killing them. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's also helped us win in 2022 as well. That's why you need to stop denying reality.
Well, folks, I want to take some time to talk about the COVID-19 vaccines. I haven't been talking about them frequently because there hasn't really been any new updates, but I will take this opportunity to remind everyone watching to go get your updated COVID-19 booster. I'm, of course, talking about the bivalent booster, which targets the Omicron variant. I think this is really important. I got mine a couple of weeks ago. Feel fine. I haven't turned into a demon yet or have been possessed by the devil, at least to my knowledge. Go get it. It'll protect yourself. Add an extra layer of protection, at least. I think it's really important. But I want to talk about the vaccines because there's a new study that was just released by the National Bureau of Economic Research, and they essentially...
And not only slow the spread, but make it less likely you'll have the negative effects of COVID that will kill you. Which, unfortunately for these people, they did not get that.
Confirm what we all suspected. COVID-19 has disproportionately killed Republicans. Now, this isn't surprising, but seeing the numbers here actually startled me because I didn't suspect it to be that huge of a gap between Democrats and Republicans. And it just goes to show you how lethal the anti-vax movement was. So let's get to the article here. This is from James Risen of The Intercept, who writes, in a detailed examination of data from Ohio and Florida, the National Bureau of Economic Research has found that political affiliation has emerged as a potential risk factor for COVID-19, and that significantly more Republicans than Democrats have died from the virus since the introduction of vaccines in early 2021 to protect against the disease. By cross-referencing voter registration data and mortality figures, the study found that excess death rates, the number of deaths above pre-pandemic levels for registered Republicans, were significantly higher than for registered Democrats after the introduction of COVID-19 vaccines. Now, the study tracked hundreds of thousands of people, and we'll get to the specifics here in a moment, but I just want anyone who may have spread misinformation or disinformation about the COVID-19 vaccines to understand that they indeed played a role in the deaths of these human beings. I disagree with Republicans. I criticize Republicans. I poke fun at Republicans, but I never want them to die.
Everything supporting the saying, if you say literally anything about positive about the vaccines and the vaccines, it means that you're a propagator of big pharma hate speech.
Yes.
And that you're a shill for genociding the unvaccinated.
Yep, he literally used those arguments against me all the time.
Yep.
I want them to change their minds, and they don't have the capacity to change their minds on any issue if they are no longer with us. So the people who pushed vaccine hesitancy,
and so that
the folks like Joe Rogan, Jimmy Dore, you can't quantify.
When they're talking about blowing up things like Big Pharma, they mean literally blowing it up.
On any issue if they're no longer with us. So the people
vaccine and to basically anti anything to stop the next pandemic mandates, because that all in pretending to help the poor.
Who pushed vaccine hesitancy, the folks like Joe Rogan, Jimmy Dore, you can't quantify the damage that they did, but deep down they've got to know that they did tremendous damage and they assisted this anti-vax movement in convincing Republicans to not do something that could have saved their lives. Now, let's get to the numbers here. The study tracked 577,659 people
who are the real cures to COVID, according to Harry.
Died in Ohio and Florida at age 25 or older between January of 2018 and December of 2021. It then linked those people to their 2017 Ohio and Florida voting records. Between March of 2020 and March of 2021, excess death rates for Republicans in Ohio and Florida were 1.6 percentage points higher than for Democrats. But from April of 2021 to December of 2021, after vaccines became widely available, the gap widened to 10.6 percentage points. The study found that the largest gaps in excess death rates between Republicans and Democrats came in Ohio and Florida counties with low vaccination rates. By using county-level vaccination rates in Ohio and Florida, we find evidence that vaccination contributes to explaining differences in excess deaths by political party affiliation, even after controlling for location and age differences, the study said. So let's repeat that.
10.6 point increase. That's how much you guys are. I almost want to say 10%, but I don't think that. I think it's way more than 10% increase. Like, that's a huge difference. All because you guys denied the vaccine works and refused to take it.
1% to 10, which I mean it's more like 10 times than 10%.
It's like a 900% increase.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Number 10.6 percentage points. There was nearly an 11-point difference in excess deaths in 2021 between Democrats and Republicans. And I think this is deeply sad. I think this is deeply, deeply sad because many of the people who participated in this misinformation, I think that a lot of them didn't know what they were doing. I think that they were genuine, but it's the grifters who I place blame on disproportionately who pushed vaccine hesitancy. And if you have the biggest platform, the bigger the platform, the higher level of culpability that you share. Individuals like Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan are among the biggest names who I think are responsible for these people. Now, they aren't going to look at this data and have a sudden change of heart or feel guilt. But I think it's really important that we know just how devastating this anti-vaccine movement was.
Big Pharma,
and for all of the people in 2021 who called me a Big Pharma shill for pushing the vaccines, well, this is why. Because I suspected that this wasn't the case. I have family members who have berated other family members, my mom in particular, because she was vaccinated, saying that she was a demon or possessed by the devil to do something like that, saying that she was going to be sick because of the vaccines. So I saw it firsthand. I saw how potent the propaganda was, and I tried to use my platform to do my part. But, you know, people aren't going to listen to me. We needed the people who were in these positions of influence with the anti-vax movement to come out and admit that they were wrong. That is what would have been powerful. But we didn't see that. Now, conversely, we know that the vaccines have saved lots and lots of lives. Estimates show that in the United States alone, it's a lot. COVID vaccines prevented more than 700,000 hospitalizations and 300,000 deaths for senior citizens in 2021.
330,000 lives saved because of a vaccine. Because remember, last I checked, was over 1 million Americans died of COVID alone. That's a 30% reduction right then and there, just because of a simple vaccine. That if you just take it, you're less likely to die from COVID.
Now, globally, 19.8 million lives were saved.
20 million lives were saved in the first year thanks to the COVID vaccine. Vaccines for the W. Shows why, as we've been saying on the show since the vaccines were available. If you're able to take them, take them.
Across 185.
Don't listen to clowns like Dorr, Rogan, Prager, and other anti-vaccine idiots.
Countries in the first year when vaccines were available.
Listen to the medical experts and your doctors, and when they say take it, fucking take it.
So there would be so much more deaths had it not been for the COVID-19 vaccines. But there were people who refused to take it.
They're all sponsored by Big Pharma hate speech.
I hate to say this, but Harry did say that argument to me before.
Now they're no longer here.
We know.
And I find this really sad.
Is that everything he doesn't
some
like
people you just can't get through to them. You know, just the other day on Twitter, the singer MIA, she made some tweet on Twitter that was incredibly stupid, saying that, oh, well, if Alex Jones can be charged because he lied, can all of the celebrities who pushed vaccines? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but something along those lines. And for whatever reason, the anti-vax movement feels emboldened. Today, I still am seeing tweets directed at me saying, oh, well, are you going to apologize for pushing the vaccines? You've been really quiet lately. Because there's not really anything left that we can say. At this point in time, the people who haven't been vaccinated, they have at least seen some data, right? We're adults here. If you choose to not get vaccinated, that's on you.
Remember?
So we all tried.
Doesn't agree with
That's
them
the point.
Is big pharma hate speech.
Even if I felt like I maybe influenced 0 people in 2021, I at least tried. And that's more than I can say for people like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson, who absolutely share a lot of the blame here in this anti-vax movement, in these excess deaths. People who listen to Joe Rogan, who were instructed to not get the vaccines because alternative medicine, like, you know, ivermectin, not that that's an alternative medicine, but an alternative treatment they claimed is better.
And hydroxychloroquine, he's gone back to starting to promote that again. He should never be able to live
with himself. He should be up every single night feeling guilt for all of these deaths. How many of his own listeners did he kill? You just don't know. Now, you know, I hate that this vaccine argument has devolved into a debate about, like, oh, well, if you push the vaccines, you're pro-big pharma. No, I think that we should debate. You know, I hate that this
what they argue.
Here we go. Let's listen and enjoy this one.
Vaccine argument has devolved into a debate about, like, oh, well, if you push the vaccines, you're pro-big pharma. No, I think that we should nationalize the companies that produced these vaccines. Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna. I don't know if they're American companies. I think BioNTech is a German company, but whatever is an American company, I think that we should nationalize them. I have...
Yep.
That's the exact same thing I said to Harry. But no, I'm still a big pharma shill. Even though what I want would really destroy them.
He wants to blow up all pharmaceutical companies.
What I want literally would destroy them and make them nationally owned. But no, still a big pharma shill because I promote using vaccines.
A lot of critiques. You've all heard them about our...
we're pro-big pharma hate speech according to him, because we don't promote ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine as the only treatments for COVID-19.
For-profit healthcare industry. And that extends to pharmaceutical companies that rip off Americans, especially after we give them our tax dollars to fund research that leads to the development of new medications.
Yeah, that's a debunked ANCAP argument that it's the private sector that promotes medical advancements. Nope. It's government funded, and then the corporations take advantage of it and then patent them for themselves to exploit for money. So, yeah. Big government control for the W over and over and over again.
So I have issues. I have criticisms. But there's no criticism against modern medicine. You can't not participate in modern medicine. It doesn't make you a big pharma shill if you take a Tylenol if you have a headache. It doesn't make you a big pharma shill if you pop a Tums or two if you have heartburn. These are things that are available to us that have drastically improved our lives, and vaccines are among those things that have improved our lives. And to see a section of the population reject them just flat out because it's a partisan issue, that is very, very sad. It's very devastating.
And as I said before, you gotta blame Trump for that one. When he politicized it, all of his idiot supporters went along with what he said. If he just shut up and just did what the medical experts said and promoted taking it, I think we'd be in a much better situation.
To me. And it goes beyond, their apprehension about vaccines. This vax movement is also linked to the Trump movement, right? Not exclusively, right? It's not mutually exclusive, but a lot of them are also Trump supporters who believe that the election was stolen. Conspiratorial thinking tends to expand to other areas of society, and a lot of them think that the election was stolen. A lot of them are kind of living in their own alternate reality. And so I don't know how to get through to these people. And this is kind of an open question that I've had for years now on this program, but I genuinely don't know. But sometimes misinformation doesn't just harm democracy, it harms individuals in a profound way. We're talking 11% of people dying due to conspiracy theories and misinformation. And I, for one, find that sad. Just because, I disagree with them politically doesn't mean that I think that the sentence should be death. No, I want them to live. I want them to get the vaccines so they can live their lives. But that's not where we're at. And this study is sad, although, honestly, not that surprising. I'm just a little bit startled by how big the number is, how big the deviation, is. I wouldn't have not expect. I wouldn't have, I should say, expected it to be 11%, maybe like 5%.
If anything, I thought it would be closer to like 20%.
But 11% almost.
Yeah.
That's huge. And if this doesn't cause a little bit of introspection among the biggest and loudest anti-vax propagandists, which it won't, it goes to show you that these people care about nothing but views and clicks, and I just find that gross.
Exactly.
But nothing left to say about this, so I'll leave that there.
And they have no one to blame but themselves for their death and whatever happens to them, especially since I'm probably a dick for pointing this out, but it is true. Your guys' deaths are helping us politically. But I don't want to say keep dying so we win. I want you all to just take the vaccine and be in a much better place, which is anti what I need politically, but I'm not a cold-blooded villain like a lot of people are. But take the vaccine if you're able to. You'll be less likely to get it and less likely to have the worst aspects of it that won't kill you. It would probably make it just like a regular old cold that you probably wouldn't even think it would be COVID otherwise. And if you don't take it, well then, you're going to have to deal with the reality. Negative things if you do get it that might indeed kill you, which would be avoided if you just took the vaccine. So yeah, what do you guys say about this study? What do you guys say about the study?
I knew it would be a lot higher. I didn't think it would be quite that high, but I knew it was hell of a lot higher. And yeah, that could very easily screw them over completely in 2024. By the way, Catherine Cortez Masto is less than 1% behind Adam Laxalt with 6% of the vote to go. And a lot of them are the the mail-in and lasting ballots.
All right, so now on to the next topic.
Which tend to lean more democratic.
On to the next.
So she might just come back and seal Democrat majority.
Well, we'll see when that time comes around. But now,
on
to the next topic.
And that would be Nick Fuentes wants dictatorships.
Now,
we
mentioned it earlier when we were covering the midterms about how, like, Charlie Kirk, Crowder, Dimful, and all those idiot clowns were mauled that the red wave didn't happen. And Nick Fuentes, who we covered on the show, also mauled. His maul, I think, was more particularly funny because he said the quiet part out loud that even Crowder somewhat got into, but Fuentes went mask off on it, where he admits he wants dictatorships, everybody. Ugh, he don't like how the elections went. Let's have no elections and force our will on the people. It reminds me of Trump, don't it?
You got to recognize the fact that this is a godless country.
Fuentes kind of worships Trump, so
I hate it. It's immoral, it's wrong, it's heinous, it's evil. But this is an evil country. And this country will surprise you with how evil it is. And that's why you got to get this out of your head that there is some silent majority cavalry that's going to come out of the woods and save us at the last minute. It's not. When we meet the left on the battlefield and they outnumber us like 5-1, that's it. But the point is, when you look at these things like abortion, it's popular. People like abortion. Hate it.
It's not that we like abortion. We just think we're pro-choice. We think women should be able to have the option if they want to do it. But if they want to keep it, they can. So nice straw man there, as always.
But it's true.
He loves the straw mans and the insinuations that we just love stabbing babies to death.
It's popular. People like abortion. Hate it, but it's true.
I mean, that is true.
It's supported that women should have the right to choose is popuy.
Yep.
And not a thing where and what's not popular is forcing the 10-year-olds to carry their baby to term when they will then
like
die in childbirth because the kid's a significant portion of their body size.
Like Fuentes would think that's a lovely idea.
Thank the Jewish media for that.
You probably want to be like, I want to rape kids as young as possible. I want to fuck kids as young as possible.
Hate it, but it's true, and you can thank the Jewish media for that.
No surprise from you, Fuentes. You go there.
Of course, he's a Nazi.
Anti-Semitism, everybody.
Go straight to the Jews.
Yep, 40 seconds in, already anti-Semitism. No surprise from Fuentes, though.
Abortion's popular. Sodomy's popular. And you can thank the Jewish media for that. Abortion's popular. Sodomy's popular. Being gay is popular.
Not popular, it's just...
Gay is not popular, you degenerate.
There's nothing wrong with being gay. People should accept it for what it is. Just like you should, Fuentes, and come out of the closet, which we know you are.
Yeah.
A feminist is popular.
Yeah.
I don't know if being a feminist or even feminism is necessarily popular, because it has faced a massive backlash over the last few years because of idiots online. But the vast majority of Americans think women should be able to do what they want, and that is a part of feminism, which, of course, you don't like, Fuentes, because you think women should be in the closet and should not have the right to vote. Which, by the way, guys, he said it. We covered it, too. He doesn't think women should be allowed to vote.
Sex out of wedlock is popular.
He also thinks that they should be in their rooms, in the kitchen, naked, making sandwiches, so he can walk up and rape them whenever he wants.
Yep. And kids out of wedlock popular. It's actually not. It's frowned upon. It's just we realize that it's not like a big deal that they need to be shamed or kicked out of society and such. It's just whatever. But yeah, Americans do shame people having kids out of wedlock. Like, I don't know where you're getting it from.
Contraceptives are... It's all
That still kind of happens in Australia, but it's more like a subtle thing than a... like with people carrying out on you.
Contraceptives popular? Yeah. Yeah, because
extremely.
People want the fuck and they don't want to deal with kids, so yeah, contraceptives are a thing. So, cap.
Popular. That's all. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say I like that. Popular means the people support it, which they do. And it sucks, and it is what it is, but that's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media.
Unironically wants a dictatorship.
That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media.
Move to Russia, then.
Take control of the government.
Fuentes.
Yep.
That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe, or force them to play by our rules and reshape the society.
This is all because he lost. That's all because Republicans lost, guys. Listen, he wants to force people to agree with him.
Oh, that is an awesome cope. That is awesome coping.
You just listened to booger-eating Nazi Nick Fuentes call for a dictatorship following a disappointing election night for Republicans. Now, just to be clear, when I say that he's a booger-eating Nazi, I'm not making a reference to his age. Like, I'm not suggesting he's one of those snot-nosed kids because he's young. I call him a booger-eating Nazi because he quite literally ate a booger on a live stream, and I refuse to let him live that down. Now, what I've got to say is what he says here is not surprising if you followed what he said. So he has called for a situation.
I'm actually a little surprised he mentioned Jewish media again when he said take over the media earlier. What about you?
Yeah, I'm very surprised he didn't.
Situation in the U.S. for women's rights where it resembles the Taliban and their control of women in Afghanistan.
Oh yeah, guys, he thinks the Taliban is a standard of how they treat women, as that should be the standard everywhere. That's how much of a POS we're talking
Afghanistan. He has compared himself to Hitler, and the problem with Nick Fuentes is even if he says outrageous things, he's openly anti-Semitic, the problem is he still has some mainstream success, and that's kind of the whole ethos of his movement in particular. He's gotten politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar to speak at his events, and he has the America First PAC, which is supposed to be competition to CPAC, because CPAC, according to him, is not far right enough. Imagine that. Imagine being so far gone.
They're not flat out Nazis. They're only generally fascists.
didn't they ban him one time when he raid thing with Kirk? I think we even covered it too.
Yes, I remember that.
I bet that's why he's so butthurt that he got banned, because he's too insane for them even. And the CPAC and Kirk are insane pieces of shit.
That you are angry that CPAC isn't far enough to the right. Now, the Southern Poverty Law Center says this about him. Fuentes denounces mainstream conservative institutions, arguing that Christian Republican voters get screwed over because the GOP is run by Jews, atheists, and homosexuals. He has
the Republican Party is run by Jews, atheists, and gays.
Yep.
Oh my, wow, that's what they accuse Democrats of being. And now you're saying the Republicans, Republican Party hates Jews, atheists, and gays. What are you talking about, Fuentes? You are so silly.
Cited this as a justification for carving out his own alternative far-right coalition within them. Adherents of the so-called alt-right label took different tracks after that coalition collapsed, and Fuentes has become emblematic of the one that sought to mainstream recognition in that matter. While some former alt-right adherents gravitated toward terroristic white power accelerationism, Fuentes chose a different path. He has instead collaborated with elected officials and conservative activists to attempt to push the Republican Party and American political institutions into a more hard-right authoritarian ideological position. And in some ways, he's been able to do that. For example, Tucker Carlson, who is the most popular cable news show host, has been promoting the Great Replacement conspiracy theory now for a very long time. He's mentioned it, I think, over 100 times on his program. And in response to that, Nick Fuentes has said, hey, Tucker Carlson sounds like me. So his whole plan, little by little,
using Great Replacement instead of white genocide,
to have these ideas infiltrate the GOP and increasingly make them as radical as he is. So it's not like this is some fringe individual who we have to brush aside because he's irrelevant. No, he actually is, unfortunately, politically relevant to an extent within the GOP, which is why we have to take what he says seriously, because it's not like what he's saying, this explicit call for a dictatorship, is happening in a vacuum. There are more and more Republican pundits and politicians who are either explicitly or implicitly vocalizing their support for authoritarianism, be it through Trump election denialism or just them saying, I don't support democracy. Now, some of them will do a little bit of a tee-hee, I mean, because I support Republic instead. Get it? We're a republic, not a democracy, which for those of you who did not take Political Science 101, a republic is a type of democracy. But really, even if they try to hide the ball, the anti-democratic rhetoric that we're seeing on the right is something that is very, very alarming that we have to take seriously. So when individuals like this booger-eating Nazi Nick Fuentes say things like, well, you know, I get that abortion is popular and it's because of the Jewish media, therefore, to do that, we take control of the media and install a dictatorship and make them believe what we believe. That's not something that is just going to happen in a vacuum. It's going to spread, and his viewers will see that who vote for Republican. They will exert pressure on Republicans and get more mainstream success. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is associated with him, or at least once was, she just won her re-election by a landslide. So it's not like voters are so turned off by these types of ideas, by politicians, association with Nick Fuentes, that they're losing their political careers. No. And that's how you kind of mainstream these white nationalist views. That's why he's successful. So that's why when he says things like this, even though it's just this one individual, don't underestimate his influence. Take these things very serious because they are serious. Anyone who explicitly calls for an end to U.S. democracy must be viewed as a threat, and we have to counter the things that they're saying, the influence that they have. And I'll leave that there.
Yep. So what we gotta say about Fuentes being an authoritarian as always.
No surprise. It's no surprise.
Alright, so now, on to the final topic.
Elon Musk being a fetus.
So, this came up out of nowhere because recently, Elon Musk, unfortunately, bought Twitter. After like months and months and months of speculation. Would he do it or not? He finally did it. And oh boy, it's been one hell of a nightmare for him at least. He was so humiliated. Like, do you know all the stuff that's happened since he bought Twitter?
I know certain bits of it.
First off, he fired, like, I think it was like 70% of one section of Twitter, and there were the people that, like, followed, like, their TOS, because he didn't like that they censored people for being pieces of shit and not following TOS. And now their Twitter on their own end is trying to get them back. Undermine them already. What a clown.
Yep.
I think Twitter's stock went down, so Twitter's worth less now than before.
That crashed as well. Yep, that crashed.
Oh,
and then when he did his check mark, a whole bunch of parody accounts nabbed them up.
Yeah, so here's another stupid thing. So for years now, Twitter has this blue check mark that is used to identify it. That's the real you in case if you got parodies, and it's normally pretty difficult to get. But now he made it possible for you to get. Anyone can get. There's just one catch. You have to pay, I think it was like $8 a month, which as silly as that is, he didn't realize that people who wanted to troll him were able to exploit it. So now a whole bunch of troll accounts made themselves verified that they're the real thing and trolled him to the point where one of them cost one of his company billions in stocks.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Rational National covered too recently, which I saw today as well. And then, as funny as that is, it gets even funnier. Some people, there's some YouTuber. Oh yeah, God, what's his name? Ethan Klein. Recently he and some other big YouTuber did a parody account, changed their account to be a parody of him, and he got so butthurt that he suspended them from Twitter.
I remember that.
Where's free speech?
Of course he's not. He's
Elon
a billionaire,
Musk
so of course he's a snowflake.
Oh my god! He's banning people because they did parody accounts and made fun of him. Oh, jeez, that is awesome. What a giant baby. Then again, not surprised, these rich bastards are some of the most sensitive people. So, what do you guys say about Elon Musk needing his diaper changed?
No surprise. No, absolutely no surprise.
Oh, gee. Surprised I haven't been banned yet because I've been making fun of him so much. I guess I'm not big enough to offend him yet. Yeah, he's been nothing but a disaster owning Twitter. But hey, it cost him a whole bunch of money, unlike me. Oh, you idiot. Oh, my God. Oh, and he's also mauled because his very first Republican congressman he supported got obliterated too.
Yep.
Salty as fuck. He's probably still mad that Bernie humiliated him months ago, remember that?
Yep.
He felt the burn alright. Oh my god, just keep mauling Elon. You are so stupid. So anything else you want to say on this one?
No surprise, Elon Musk is beyond a snowflake, and yeah, of course to do something like this.
What an idiot. And with that funny way, that is all the episodes. And how about that? In less than an hour and 10 minutes. Awesome.
Hey.
So, with that, we'll see you guys next time for episode 63.
Yep.